Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into the life of a true intellectual giant, Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. This 13th century scholar was, well, kind of a rock star in the world of astronomy, math, philosophy, you name it. And get this, all this during a period of immense upheaval, the Mongol conquests.
It's incredible, isn't it? He wasn't just surviving this tumultuous era, he was flourishing. Born in 1201 in Tus, Persia, Tusi entered a world where the Islamic world was, a hotbed of knowledge and scholarship.
And this guy was a knowledge sponge from a young age, wasn't he?
Right.
His father, a jurist, unfortunately passed away when Tusi was young, but he really instilled in him this love for learning, this idea of seeking wisdom from, well, everywhere.
And seek he did. He traveled far and wide, soaking up knowledge in math, logic, physics, you name it. But something wasn't quite clicking for him. He wasn't satisfied with just, accepting the different, sometimes even contradictory viewpoints he came across. He was looking for something deeper, more unified.
So he was on this quest for a more, I guess, coherent truth, wrestling with these big ideas, trying to find a framework that really made sense to him. Where did this intellectual journey, this quest, lead him?
Well, it led him to the Ismailis, a branch of Shia Islam known for its emphasis on reason and, spiritual understanding of pretty intellectual tradition.
Right.
Around 1224, Tusi embraced Ismailism, a decision that would really shape the course of his life.
It's amazing how this personal search for truth, intertwined with his spiritual journey, speaks volumes about his curiosity and willingness to, embrace new ideas.
Totally. And this embrace of Ismailism led him to the service of Nasir al-Din Mutashim, the Ismaili governor of Khorasan. This was in 1233 or 1234. He stayed at the fortress of Khan for about a decade, a period where he could, really delve deeper into Ismaili thought while still pursuing his scholarly passions.
I imagine this period at Khan wasn't just about finding, refuge. It sounds like a time of serious intellectual growth and productivity for Tusi.
Right. In fact, it was during this time that he completed one of his most celebrated works, the Akhlaqi Nasiri, dedicated to his patron. It explores ethics, offering these really profound insights into human conduct. Even today, it's a powerful work, this blend of philosophical thought with practical guidance.
It seems that Tusi's reputation as this brilliant scholar spread far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
Where did his path lead him next?
His reputation reached, the heart of the Nizari Ismail state Alamut. This wasn't just any fortress, Alamut was this renowned center of learning, famous for its massive library. Scholars from all over were drawn to it. Around 1236, Tusi received an invitation to Alamut, and, I imagine for someone like him, it must have seemed like an intellectual paradise.
Alamut. With all that knowledge, that vibrant community of scholars, it must have been a dream for Tusi. What was his role within this community?
Alamut was where he truly flourished, surrounded by, countless scrolls and manuscripts. He engaged in these lively debates, taught, edited texts, and, really produced some of his most significant works. Really immersed himself in philosophical expositions of Ismaili doctrines, wrote on ethics, intellectual exploration. His work really cemented his status as a leading scholar.
So he wasn't just absorbing knowledge, he was, actively shaping the intellectual discourse at Alamut. Did he hold any official position there?
He rose through the ranks within the Ismaili Dawa, their system of, religious outreach and education. Some scholars even believe he might have attained the position of chief missionary, the Dai al-Duat. Really shows the respect he earned for his intellect and his contribution to, Ismaili thought.
It sounds like he had truly found an intellectual home at Alamut, contributing so much to the community while, also pursuing his own scholarly interests. But knowing the historical context, it's hard not to feel a sense of foreboding, right?
Yeah, you're picking up on it. Tusi's time at Alamut, while intellectually fruitful, coincided with the rise of a pretty formidable force, the Mongols. They were sweeping across Asia, leaving, conquest and destruction in their wake. This looming threat would soon cast a shadow over Alamut, forcing Tusi to make a fateful decision.
The Mongol conquests, they were reshaping the world, in Alamut, this haven of knowledge. Well, it couldn't escape those changes, could it? It must have been a time of incredible anxiety, knowing that the Mongols, led by Genghis Khan, were a direct threat to the Ismailis and the whole scholarly community at Alamut.
It was a dire situation for sure. And then in 1256, the unthinkable happened. Alamut fell to Genghis Khan's forces. This was a turning point, not just for the Ismailis, but for the whole region. The destruction of Alamut, it was a devastating blow to intellectual life in the Islamic world.
It's hard to grasp the turmoil and uncertainty of that time. What happened to Tusi after this devastating event?
He was faced with this new reality, and he made a decision that, well, it still puzzles historians today. He joined the service of Hulagu Khan.
Really? That seems, well, surprising given the Mongols' reputation for, brutality.
It does, doesn't it? But it shows, Tusi's strategic thinking, his dedication to preserving knowledge no matter what.
I can't help but wonder, what are his motivations? Was it just, survival, or did he have something else in mind?
Probably a mix of both, I'd say. I mean, he was definitely worried about his safety and the safety of his fellow scholars, right? Aligning with Hulagu Khan, well, that offered protection in a very dangerous time. But Tusi wasn't just, passively trying to survive. He saw this as an opportunity, maybe even an obligation to use his position to influence the Mongols, to protect the intellectual legacy that was so important to him.
So instead of being, overwhelmed by the chaos, he was trying to navigate it strategically, using his intellect to safeguard scholarship. What happened next?
This is where things take a really inspiring turn. He realized that the Mongols, despite their reputation, weren't totally closed off to knowledge and learning. Hulagu Khan, in fact, seemed to respect intellectual ability. And it was during this time that Tusi proposed something pretty bold, the construction of a grand observatory.
An observatory. That's quite a change for the destruction and upheaval of the Mongol conquests. How did Hulagu Khan react to this proposal?
Tusi was smart. He knew how to appeal to Hulagu's ambitions. He presented the observatory not just as a center for, observing the stars, but as a symbol of Mongol prestige and power. And it worked. Hulagu was impressed. He gave Tusi the resources and support to make this ambitious project a reality. Construction began in 1259 near Moraga, which was Hulagu's capital in northwestern Iran.
So from the ashes of Alamut rose the Moraga Observatory. Really a testament to Tusi's, well, his strategic brilliance and his unwavering commitment to scientific advancement.
It was a remarkable achievement. The Moraga Observatory quickly became this beacon of learning, attracting brilliant minds from all over, Persian, Chinese, even European scholars came to this center of astronomical research. It really revitalized the intellectual landscape that had been, well, so disrupted by the Mongol conquests.
It sounds like Tusi had managed to create a new haven for knowledge, fostering a new era of scientific exploration under the patronage of, well, the very force that had threatened to destroy it all. What kind of research and discoveries happened at Moraga?
It was a busy place. Scholars building upon centuries of astronomical knowledge, meticulously studying the planets, observing the stars, developing new instruments. It was a melting pot of ideas, different astronomical traditions coming together, sparking new insights.
Speaking of new insights, I remember reading about Tusi's contribution to astronomy, specifically his development of the Tusi couple, right? What was so significant about that?
The Tusi couple. Oh, it's a brilliant example of Tusi's genius, his deep understanding of geometry and astronomy. Imagine this. You've got two circles, one moving inside the other. The outer circle is twice the size of the inner one. As that smaller circle rotates, a point on its circumference, well, it traces out a perfectly straight line.
That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but Tusi's model proved it was possible.
But was it just, a mathematical curiosity? Or did it have a real impact on astronomy?
It was much more than just a curiosity. It was a solution to a problem that had been bothering astronomers for ages, a problem in Ptolemaic astronomy, which was, the main model of the universe back then. Ptolemy, this Greek astronomer from way back, he proposed this Earth-centered model where everything in the heavens moved in these complicated circular paths. And this model, though influential, it had its issues. The Tusi couple, well, it helped to address those issues with greater accuracy.
So Tusi wasn't just, preserving knowledge. He was refining it, improving it, pushing the boundaries of what people understood. It sounds like his time at Moraga was, well, incredibly productive.
It was. He produced some truly groundbreaking work in different fields. He made huge contributions to trigonometry, developing it into its own distinct mathematical discipline. He explored spherical trigonometry, studying the relationships between, angles and sides of triangles drawn on spheres. This had practical applications in things like navigation and map making.
His work wasn't just theoretical then. It had real-world applications. What other contributions did he make to astronomy during this time?
After years of careful observation at Moraga, he published the al-Kani. This was a comprehensive astronomical treatise. It had tables for calculating planetary positions, a star catalog. This work, incredibly detailed and accurate for its time, became a standard reference for astronomers all across the Islamic world, and it remained so for centuries.
It's amazing to think about the impact of his work, especially when you remember that it was all done under the patronage of the Mongols, the same force that had, caused such disruption to the world of scholarship.
Yeah.
His story really shows the resilience of knowledge and the human spirit's ability to adapt and thrive, even in the most difficult situations.
It does. Tusi's journey is a powerful reminder that knowledge can go beyond political boundaries, beyond historical upheavals. But his contributions, they weren't limited to just astronomy and mathematics. He was a polymath, someone who excelled in many different areas.
That's true. We've been focused on his scientific accomplishments, but he didn't stop there, did he? He explored philosophical questions, ethics, logic. His work was really multifaceted.
Absolutely. Even while leading the Moraga Observatory, he's still grappling with, philosophical and ethical issues. And here's something interesting. There's evidence that he actually returned to Twelver Shi'ism during this time, which was, his family's original branch of Islam. It's possible this was a strategic move in the political landscape, dominated by the Mongols, but it also shows his complex relationship with faith and intellectual inquiry.
So even as he navigated, the intricacies of power and patronage, he never stopped pursuing knowledge, always seeking a deeper understanding.
All right, but let's not forget that all of this took place against a backdrop of, well, constant change and upheaval. The Mongol Empire, as vast and powerful as it was also prone to internal conflicts and power struggles. Even as Tusi was doing such great work at Moraga, the political winds were shifting and new challenges were, just over the horizon.
It's amazing, really, how Tusi managed to do so much in such a chaotic time. Achieving all that, despite all the political turmoil, really shows the power of knowledge and just human ingenuity, doesn't it?
Yeah. In his later years, Tusi ended up moving to Baghdad, which by that time was also under Mongol rule. But even after leaving Moraga, he didn't slow down. He kept writing, kept researching, even took on some administrative roles, managing religious endowments.
He was a scholar, an astronomer, an administrator. He really moved between these different roles, didn't he? Says a lot about his adaptability and, the breadth of his intellect, right?
Exactly. And think about the bigger picture here. While Europe was still in the Middle Ages, Tusi was, in a way, a Renaissance man, centuries before the European Renaissance. His thirst for knowledge was, insatiable, and his influence on so many different fields, it was profound.
Speaking of influence, we've talked about his achievements, but what about his legacy? How did his work continue to, resonate after his death in 1274?
His influence went way beyond his lifetime. The Moraga Observatory, which he founded, it remained a leading center for astronomical research for a long time, inspiring generations of scholars in the Islamic world. And his work, especially the Zijj al-Lakhani, it was studied, it was translated, and eventually it even reached European intellectuals.
His ideas crossed geographical boundaries then. They had a lasting impact on the global pursuit of knowledge. Are there any specific examples of how his work influenced, later scholars and thinkers?
Some historians believe that Tusi's astronomical tables might have actually influenced Nicholas Copernicus, the Renaissance astronomer who came up with the heliocentric model, the idea that the sun is at the center of the solar system.
Wow, so Tusi's work, done in Persia under Mongol patronage, might have played a role in one of the most revolutionary ideas in astronomy.
It's a possibility, and it just shows you how interconnected knowledge is and how the work of brilliant minds like Tusi can have such a lasting impact.
And it wasn't just astronomy, right?
Right. His work on trigonometry, especially his development of it as its own, separate mathematical discipline, that was huge. His writings on spherical trigonometry, with its applications in navigation and map making, they laid the groundwork for so much progress in those fields.
So we're talking about a legacy that stretches from the stars to the maps we use to navigate our world. That's pretty incredible.
And don't forget his philosophical works. His explorations of ethics, logic, metaphysics, they continued to be studied and debated long after he was gone, They enriched intellectual discussions in the Islamic world and beyond.
It's truly remarkable. One person working during such turbulent times, leaving such a mark on so many different areas of study. It really makes you think.
It does. Tusi's story is a powerful reminder of humanity's constant quest for knowledge, And it shows how knowledge can transcend boundaries and shape history. It also highlights how important it is to nurture intellectual curiosity and support scholarship, no matter what's going on in the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the life and legacy of Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, what can we 21st century knowledge seekers take away from all of this?
Well, I think his journey shows us that the pursuit of knowledge isn't just a solitary thing. It thrives on collaboration, on sharing ideas, and on preserving knowledge for future generations. Just like Tusi built on the work of those who came before him, our understanding of the world today, well, it rests on the foundations laid by scholars like him.
His story also reminds us that the quest for knowledge, it isn't always easy. It takes resilience, flexibility, and the courage to navigate, well, difficult and often complex situations.
And maybe most importantly, Pusey's life is an inspiration. It shows that even in times of uncertainty and upheaval, the human spirit, that capacity for innovation and discovery, it can shine through and leave a legacy that continues to inspire, well, generations to come.
What a great way to sum things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life and legacy of Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for this extraordinary scholar and the enduring power of, well, of knowledge itself. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.